the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can be seated. In a few seconds, we will begin our meeting. We must have pledged fast today. It is 3 o'clock. We open up our City Commission meeting. And beginning today, we were going to have a presentation from Oscar Torres, who is our Director of Information Technology, and on IT enables Surf Lakeland grants. So, Oscar, it's great to have you with us, and thank you for your leadership in our city.
Sir. Good afternoon, Commissioners, City Management, and citizens of Lakeland. My name is Oscar Torres, and I'm the Director of Information Technology. It is an honor and a pleasure to serve in this capacity for the City of Lakeland. Before I begin the presentation, I would like to take time to thank all the information technology staff for their hard work and dedication during such a challenging year. They are some of the finest IT professionals in the industry, and our departmental accomplishments are a direct reflection of their efforts. Thank you, and keep up the great work. I am honored and privileged for the opportunity today to present to all how the Department of Information Technology enables the Surf Lakeland Grant Program. Enabling plays a key role in how information technology provides value to our customers. Our goal is to partner with the business units and provide technology solutions that enables business operations for the city in support of our citizens. I think the Surf Lakeland Grant Program does just that. It is a perfect example of a tremendous partnership between information technology and community and economic development to enable service through technology, which I believe this presentation will demonstrate. The items covered will be the background, which may be a refresher for everyone that is familiar with the process, but also provide a good overview of the grant process for anyone that may not be familiar. I'll cover the role of IT, which is the part that IT plays to help enable the Wi-Fi capabilities at each location and provided the continued support of infrastructure and the wireless network. The locations and capabilities, I plan to cover each location to illustrate a better understanding of the technical footprint and capabilities being leveraged there. And once complete, I will stand by for any questions. However, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please stop me at any time. Thank you, and I will move on to the next slide.
You actually hit two.
Did hit two. Back one. There you go. Background. As part of the City of Lakeland's commitment to reduce the digital divide, the City Commission funds a project each year for the installation and support of the Surf Lakeland public Wi-Fi to qualified 501c3 nonprofit organizations. The grant has been $20,000 annually since the City Commission authorized a successful pilot program at the Dream Center in 2017. The grant administration is managed by the Community and Economic Development Department and processed through the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, the same as other public service type grants. The Information Technology Department is responsible for performing site surveys, providing cost estimates, installation, and serving as subject matter experts to assist the committee. The grant process requires nonprofit organizations to apply for the installation of Surf Lakeland public Wi-Fi access, and the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee makes an award decision. In order to make those decisions, the committee members consider the cost, but also the complexity of delivering Surf Lakeland service to a particular nonprofit facility. The $20,000 grant is a hard cap, which is the most a single recipient can receive. However, the applicants are allowed and even encouraged to supplement the grant as either a non-mandatory match or to cover any costs which extend the grant amount. Beyond project feasibility, the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee considers the mission of the applicant agency and the number of clients that will likely be served by the Surf Lakeland Access in awarding an applicant. This is just a general overview of the background. If there are no questions, I'll move on to the next slide. IT's role. The IT department, specifically the networks and telecom divisions, work together to serve as the subject matter experts for the entirety of the grant process and beyond. Once the IT department receives a list of applicants that are being considered for the grant, it is our responsibility to coordinate a site survey with all the applicant POCs to determine equipment, labor, coverage area, and level of complexity for each installation site. These are all key areas provided to the committee for consideration when awarding the grant. The IT services and support don't conclude at the installation of the site. The ongoing support of the wireless network entails maintaining and patching network switches, maintaining and patching wireless access points, and monitoring performance of the overall system. As you can see from the illustrations, our staff is hard at work supporting the Surf Lakeland Grant Program. If there are no questions, I'll proceed on to the next slide. Location and capabilities. The grant awardee locations consist of the Dream Center, Parker Street Ministries, Boys and Girls Club, and New Life Ministries. The Dream Center installation was conducted in 2017. The Wi-Fi footprint at this location is comprised of 3 wireless access points and 1 network switch. The coverage area is over 16,000 square feet, and the estimated daily use in 2020 was approximately 53 users. Obviously, that when the facility was open, we noticed that during the usage report, January through March, obviously there was usage, and then there was a big lull there for quite some time until everything opened back up again. But averaged about 53 users per day, or 53 devices per day when it was open. Parker Street Ministries. The installation was completed in 2018. The Wi-Fi footprint of this location is comprised of 8 wireless access points, 3 network switches. The coverage area is over 20,000 square feet. It includes the sanctuary, the classrooms, and the gym. The 2020 average daily user count was approximately 237 users, so they get a lot of usage at Parker Street Ministries. This is by far our largest installation footprint to date. I had the opportunity to visit Parker Street Ministries a couple weeks ago and met with William Wainwright, their Facilities and Neighborhood Services Director. He was gracious enough to give me a tour of the facility of Parker Street Ministries, which I thought was a fantastic facility. We discussed Surf Lakeland at the location, and he informed me that they are very happy with the service that they're receiving. But he also shared a specific capability that they were able to provide that was very beneficial during the fall of 2020, which I felt was the highlight of the visit for me, and I thought I would share it in this presentation. He was proud that they were able to provide e-learning capabilities at their facility for families that didn't have the capabilities within their household. Many families took advantage of the capabilities, specifically during the fall of 2020, when they were still trying to understand and adapt to the virtual learning challenges. I thought this was pretty cool and thought it was a good idea to share with everybody. The Boys and Girls Club. The installation was completed on January 13, 2021, so that's our most recent installation. The Wi-Fi footprint at this location consists of 3 wireless access points and 1 network switch. Coverage area is roughly 10,000 square feet. It includes an open area used for collaboration and also a computer lab. The entire area of the building is basically covered by the Wi-Fi. At this location, I would like to highlight our partner, AFL Global. The company is a global leader in fiber and network engineering solutions. AFL Global donated the labor and materials to complete the inside cabling at the Boys and Girls Club. This was coordinated between Jimmy Platt from our telecom division and Patrick Cunard, the AFL Global Project Manager. I would like to extend a thank you to Patrick and AFL Global for their gracious donation, and also to Jimmy Platt for coordinating the effort. I also was able to visit the Boys and Girls Club a couple weeks ago and spoke to Ashley Thomas, their program monitor and director of grants. She extended her thanks to the city and is excited about the Wi-Fi capabilities and supporting their programs going forward. New Life Ministries, we are planning on completing this installation this year. However, we're currently coordinating a site survey. Once we conduct a site survey, we'll have a better understanding of the timeline to complete that project. In closing, all of the awardees share common values and mission objectives that drive a positive impact within our community, such as restoring families and empowering communities, the transformation of neighborhoods through living and working in those neighborhoods, promoting education, health, social character, and leadership to youth, and programs of self-sufficiency, independence, and productivity. There is no doubt that these programs improve the quality of life in Lakeland, and I speak for all the information technology staff involved in supporting the grant process. We are proud to be part of the city initiative that directly impacts such great agencies and programs that serve our community. Thank you. That concludes the presentation. I will stand by for any questions.
Yes, Commissioner Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Torres, thank you for that report.
Yes, sir.
A couple of questions. Which Boys and Girl Club is we have the actual partnership with? Which location?
It is, I have the address. I went up there. It's on the north. It's over there where the,
Hillcrest.
what's that, sir?
Is it Hillcrest?
I believe it's Hillcrest. It's over there going towards the stadium, the baseball stadium, or the Dreadnoughts played. And then you can make a left. There's a Boys and Girls Club over there.
Is that the one at Rochelle, near Rochelle?
Yes, sir. That
Near
one's in,
Rochelle?
yes, sir.
Okay,
Near Rochelle,
okay.
yes, sir.
The one at Rochelle School of Arts?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, I just want to try to make sure which location
it.
we're at that particular one. Is that where we are?
That's exactly where we're at, yes,
Okay.
sir.
And New Life Ministries, are you, as you're looking at that particular install, because I thought, if I'm not mistaken, there's some construction, they're getting ready to redo that building or that facility.
That is correct.
Is that going to be all part of making sure?
So what happened is we initially, they had applied before, so we initially did a site survey, but we want to do another site survey because they're having some construction done, so we want to make sure that, we see exactly what it looks like after the construction's performed, so we can do a better survey.
Thank you for clearing up for me. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner McCarley.
I want to thank you too, Mr. Torres. I think with what we've all been through and continue to go through with COVID-19, this is incredibly important to those neighborhoods and to all neighborhoods throughout the city of Lakeland. So any other partnerships we can continue with this grant process, I'm really excited about, especially for 501c3s. I've been at Parker Street several times. That access, that number of 200, over 200 that you gave us with the e-learning throughout the fall, I mean, that we're only going to see more need for that as we go forward and students have an opportunity to either be e-learning or in class, but even to do their homework, and have access to that, it's critically important. So I just wanted to commend your group on doing it, and I hope we see further partnerships throughout the community as we move forward.
Commissioner McLeod.
Commissioner Selvage, were you,
Actually,
you had your hand,
I saw yours first.
okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Oscar. This is good. It's good to hear a recap of the impact of Surf Lakeland. And I was just curious if we've had any discussions with Summit where this might fit into their role. Is there potential to grow this even further or work alongside what they bring to the table?
Yes, sir. I think we've had some pretty good discussions with Summit as far as what Surf Lakeland is and where we could potentially take it. I do owe Kevin a description of exactly what Surf Lakeland is, so I'm going to push that out to him so he has a better idea of exactly what the program is and how we're executing the program today. But it looks promising for sure. Yes, sir.
That's great. Yeah, I would look forward to hearing more on that, as Commissioner McCarley was saying. Just the what we can do to continue to grow this and expand that reach would be great.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Selvage.
Thank you, Oscar. I've always thought that government's major role in the broadband initiative involves reducing the digital divide, and so I'm very pleased to see how this program has evolved from our first time in 2017. Can you tell me what's the interest in the city? Are we getting a number of applicants, or are we just getting one or two a year?
I've got the list of the applicants for the last.
I just don't need the list.
No, sir. I was just going to say in 2018, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2019, we had 3.
Okay,
In
great.
2020, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So the word's out there and it's
Yes, sir.
competitive. And who's the committee who chooses Who gets the,
The advisory, the AHAC, Advisory Housing,
The housing advisory.
oh,
Housing Advisory Committee, yes, sir.
all right, thank you, great
Yes,
work.
sir.
Commissioner Reed.
Thank you. We also have some stuff at the library as well, all of our libraries.
Yes, sir. Library is being handled by Spectrum.
Okay.
So their Wi-Fi access, they actually handle that through Spectrum with the Wi-Fi there.
Anything else like that?
So one thing I didn't mention is, obviously we have Wi-Fi at PAL. There's a wireless access point there that's being utilized. I was able to visit them as well, which they're highly appreciative of that. But Lakeland Police Department paid for that. And then obviously the wireless access points at downtown Lakeland and Munn Park.
And Jackson Park. Isn't there
I'll have to double check on Jackson Park.
No, Jackson Library.
Jackson Library, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the libraries are being covered by Spectrum.
Yeah, Spectrum.
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Madden.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much, Oscar. I did want to reiterate what Oscar also said, Commissioner McLeod, that Kevin that he referred to is from Summit, and he has, said that that's really a part of their corporate culture is being able to help with those efforts. And so he is really looking forward to, we kind of gave a little bit of information about what one of the grants looks like, the amount that it entails, and what we do for that. Certainly, we're just a dark fiber provider, and they are also the service provider. So he did seem very interested in, even taking it from here, potentially from the, with regard to the cost. So that would be great. But I know Oscar will be able to talk about all the details with him soon. And then, Oscar, I did have one question. I didn't get, on the Boys and Girls Club, I did not hear the number of devices for that one.
Oh, so we have 3 wireless access points there. As far as how many, we still haven't collected enough data because we just installed it. So we'll collect some more usage data on how many devices are being used, how many users are on Surf Lakeland once we're there for probably a month. I think we installed that on January 13th.
Okay, so that's recent. So they
Yes,
weren't
ma'am.
they weren't on board during the fall school year.
No, ma'am.
Okay,
No, ma'am.
that's really what I was curious about. If they were, do you know of any other places that were able to actually have any kind of e-learning in the fall?
I do not, because I was able to visit Parker Street. I visited the Dream Center when they first did the install, but that was quite some time. I wasn't able to get out there 2 weeks ago. I visited Parker Street, Powell, and what's the other location that I visited? And that was it, actually.
Okay.
Because I had already visited the Dream Center, but I don't know if the Dream Center was able to do that or not. I could definitely reach out to them and see if they were able to utilize those capabilities for e-learning.
Okay, just curious. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I think it's important that we make sure we indicate not just Boys and Girls Club, there's several locations throughout our city. And it's not the one that's there that you're talking about, I would say on the campus of Rochelle School of the Arts. It's a separate entity from the school now. And I think that name is James John Sanders branch, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's important, though, for our listening audience and those that may hear that we identify that particular location because there's so many different other locations for boys and clubs, girls clubs throughout Lakeland. But I think that's the John Sanders branch, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And thank you again. I know, like my colleagues are saying, I'm looking forward to see what Summit is going to be able to take care of and bring us, as we've had a discussion on many occasions about, trying to squelch the digital divide here in our city. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. As Commissioner Mabb would normally remind us, your infrastructure is just like water and sewage in today's world, and so these connections are really important. And when you think about 20 years ago, that wasn't even a thought process, and today, it's a vital part of what we do. So we really appreciate your leadership for the city and making these grants available. All right. If there are no other things to mention, we will begin our beautification awards with Connie Hayes, with Bill. You're in this full time now, aren't you, Lane?
Connie wasn't able to make it.
All right.
present the beautification awards, and first up is going to be
The residential.
residential. This is a beautiful new home at 2427 Nevada Road. They make excellent use of ground covers in the landscape to cut down on the mowing. The azaleas are in bloom right now, and also right near the front entrance, there's a combination of gold mound duranta and red geraniums, which adds quite a splash of color to the landscape. Is anyone here to receive the award today?
Are the Wallers here? All right, no, sir.
Apparently not. I've already put a sign in the yard this morning, and then we'll make sure they get a copy of this award. The award was actually given to George and Maria Waller.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we'll go to this project, the Academy Prep Foundation Incorporated, located at 1021 Lakeland Hills Boulevard. It was actually the site of the historic John Cox Elementary School a long time ago, and then the Volunteers in Medicine moved there for a while, and now the Academy Prep has moved in, and they planted lots of trees and shrubs and got the landscape back up to the current landscape code. They have a beautiful vegetable and plant garden there to help the students learn about agriculture. And also, this whole facility performs quite a very great thing to our community. It's a very great thing in our community to have this facility here. So, is anyone here to receive this award?
Yes.
I thought somebody was
All right.
coming, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
There's the award. Okay. You have anything to comment on?
My name's Lincoln Tamayo, the head of School of Academy Prep Center of Lakeland. I just want to thank, first and foremost, Barney Barnett, who had the vision of repurposing the John Cox Elementary School to serve the children of Lakeland now in our middle school, where we are in school for 11 hours a day, up to 6 days a week, 11 months out of the year, to prepare our students who are all endowed by our Creator with the gift of great talents to make something great out of their education. I also want to thank Rada Construction, did an outstanding job in constructing this facility, and Hebner Architects. And also, of course, Barney and Carol Barnett, and also the George Jenkins Foundation for funding this entire project. It's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful campus, which honors the beauty and the talents of the great children that we serve at this school. So I thank you very much for this.
Lincoln, can you also just do a quick moment on the mission of this school?
The mission.
Yeah, right.
We're inspiring and empowering students to become future community leaders through a very rigorous education, followed with 8 years of graduate support. So we take our students, and they invariably come to us anywhere from 1 to 3 years less than grade level, and we only admit students who qualify for the federal free and reduced meals program. So these are kids who are basically hovering at or below the poverty line, but they have every ability, just like every single one of us in this room, to do well with the great opportunities given to them. And with what we give them with those 11-hour school days and 6-day weeks and 11th month years is a great foundation to move on to go on to places like our public magnet schools, whether it be Harrison or the IB program at Bartow or All Saints or Lakeland Christian, and then go on to college. We have our first campus in St. Petersburg that opened 23 years ago, and I opened the Tampa campus in 2003. And in areas where fewer than half the adults hold high school diplomas, the children from those schools have graduated from the very best prep schools in the area and around the United States, including Berkeley, Tampa Prep, Shorecrest, Phillips Exeter, in New Hampshire, Deerfield in Massachusetts, have graduated at a 99% rate and are now graduating in droves from places like the University of South Florida, UCF, the University of Florida, Florida State University, the University of Florida College of Law, the United States Air Force Academy, Columbia University, and Northwestern. And I promise you that we will see the same thing here for the children of Lakeland when they start graduating from Academy Prep next school year. There's nothing like this within 500 miles. And we are very, very happy to be serving the children of Lakeland and this community with this beautiful campus.
So the beautification is more inside than outside, and it looks great on the outside, too. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if I could ask a question, I know Jake and I have had many conversations. How many students now you all have enrolled? And I know you have a number you're trying to get to, but how many do we have enrolled now?
Commissioner Walker, we have now 80 students in grades 5, 6, and 7. So we started last year with grades 5 and 6. And we'll bring in a new 5th grade class this coming year. So at full capacity, we'll be at between 120 and 140 students. But then we'll serve up to 240 graduates through their 4 years of high school and 4 years of college to see them all the way through successfully through the pipeline.
Awesome.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
We do a quick picture up here, sir. Appreciate it. All right, sir. Thank you very much for those presentations. Anything else you'd like to add? William, anything else? Mr. Cohen, anything else you'd like to add?
About the, if anyone wants to nominate somebody for either the commercial or residential award, just give me a call and we'll check it out, and hopefully you can get your award too. So
Give them that phone number.
I'll give them my cell number. just use my City of Lakeland bill.cohen@lakelandgov.net. That'd be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm better at emails than anything else.
Here you go, Bill.
Well, I have the privilege of, let me see, where's the portable mic?
Right here, sir.
Yes, sir. No, I'd rather.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll put this back on as we get closer. But I have the privilege of being able to ask Barbara Harrison, who's a friend from Lakeland Regional Health, and Lakina Burden with Lakeland Regional Health's Family Health Center, to come up and stay appropriately 6 feet away as I present these to you. I'm going to give you a Black History Month proclamation that I will read. If you could pass one down, there's one for each of you. If I did that, okay, great. Carter G. Woodson is known today as the father of Black history and is credited with laying the foundations for the widespread adoption of Black studies in American schools. Today, the observance of Black History Month throughout the United States stands as a testament to the success of Woodson's project. This year's theme, The Black Family, Representation, Identity, and Diversity, highlights two important anniversaries in the history of African Americans and the United States. On January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation, which set the United States on the path of ending slavery, and August 27th, 1963, when hundreds of thousands of Americans marched to the Memorial of Abraham Lincoln in pursuit of the ideal of equality of citizenship. It was on this occasion that Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous speech, "I Have a Dream." During Black History Month, we celebrate and recognize the contributions of African Americans in not only our city, but in our country's history. So, on that basis, we give you this proclamation, and is there anything you'd like to say or share?
I would, may I?
You can go down there, yes, and it's so good to see you. You can stand by because we're going to do a picture.
Good afternoon, everyone. To our Honorable Mayor, Bill Mutz, our city commissioners, other officials here today, and Commissioner Philip Walker, who contacted me about coming today to receive this proclamation, I am deeply honored. During this Black History Month, we recognize the various and significant medical roles African Americans have played in healthcare in this community and beyond. For that, I am truly, truly grateful that you're honoring nurses today for the role that they play. I know that if you didn't understand what a nurse does, you surely understand it now with the COVID-19 pandemic. The selfless hours, the dedication, holding the hands of our loved ones, that's what it's all about. It is a calling, not a job. Black History Month provides an opportunity to share the enduring legacy of Black nurses who dared to break through cultural norms and remove barriers for us. Their efforts allowed us to obtain and use their acquired skills and knowledge in serving our community's health care needs. I myself come from 3 generations of nurses. My mother was a critical care nurse. My sister, an information systems nurse, and my daughter, Stacy Campbell, is the head nurse of the, that's not the right term, the department manager of the behavioral health program at Lakeland Regional Health. So we know about this and we possess the passion, and it fits right into the theme this time of a Black family.
And how many years did you serve at Lakeland Regional?
I served at Lakeland Regional for 42 years. And I'm proud to say that even though I'm getting up in age, I still serve this community every day, because once you are a nurse, you're always a nurse. Once you're a leader, you're always a leader. And so I've had the privilege of participating in many things within our community and even writing a book about health care. So I'm truly blessed, as are many nurses throughout this entire profession. Let me just say that Mary Mahoney was the first Black nurse in America. She left a beautiful legacy of service, and that legacy continues to grow today. My wish today is that many of the local heroes who started out in the barracks at Lakeland Regional Hospital, as it was known at that time, could be here today to share in receiving this proclamation with me. I, as a nurse, had stood on everyone's shoulder, and now I pray that others are standing on my shoulders as I enter this phase of the transition. I want to really, really thank you for being here. I had an illustrious career as a nurse. I never, ever regretted being a nurse. I never regretted being in health care. I was able to serve as the vice president of Lakeland Regional Medical Center and the inaugural vice president of Lakeland Regional Cancer Center. So I have nothing but praise for everyone who works in the medical profession. Thank you again for having me here today. It's hard to speak through this mask, but I hope I've been able to convey my thoughts and appreciation to you. Thank you so much, Mayor Mutz.
You certainly have. We thank you very much, and we're going to take a picture if you wouldn't mind coming up. And Commissioner Walker, can you share as well a little bit?
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you again, Ms. Barbara, and also Ms. Kiki for coming. The purpose of, again, as she indicated, colleagues, I thought it would be good to have our front-line workers, especially our nurses. Again, as you know, Ms. Harrison, Ms. Barbara Harrison, being a retired nurse, and then Kiki, I call her, Ms. Lakia Burden, is an incoming, just getting hired as a nurse at Lakeland Regional, working right now in the Family Health Center, that on the campus. But now, she mentioned, Ms. Harrison didn't mention about staying on the shoulders of someone. I wanted to hopefully have Ms. Taretha White here, but she had just had surgery, and the family thought it would not be good for her to come out. She's in her late 80s, and she was one of the first black nurses to integrate Lakeland Regional Health now, which was called back then Lakeland Morale, the Morale Hospital and that kind of thing, as history would tell us. But I wanted to make sure, you know, you knew we have someone who's been there, done that, and then we have someone, and as Ms. Burden, as we call her, Ms. Kiki, who's just getting started in doing that. So thank you all again for being here. I'm gonna get one outside.
All right, the next thing I have the opportunity and pleasure of doing is recognizing that we have a special day in Lakeland, Florida today. This is the Herbert Dixon Day, February 1st, 2021. And here to receive the proclamation that I'm going to read is Herbert Dixon and his daughter, Miss Collins. So if you all want to come on up, we're going to do that, and we'll give you a little bit of time to get up here. That's just fine.
Mayor, if you can go down if you can't come up the stairs.
Pardon?
Oh, he's doing great.
Look at you. Just stay about 6 feet from me. I'm so glad you're just turned a little bit there, and we'll face out because I want to read about the proclamation. Okay. Herbert Dixon was raised in Bartow, beautiful Bartow, Florida, right? Yes. All right, okay. Graduating from the Union Academy as the class valedictorian. Herbert caddied and learned the game of golf watching others play, practicing with a 7-iron behind the caddy shack, sharpening his skills by playing on Monday's caddy day. He went on to become a professional golfer, winning over 50 tournaments, including the 1951 National Negro Open Championship, beating legendary golfer Charlie Sifford. Herbert was elected to the Black Professional Golfers Hall of Fame, the African American Golfers Hall of Fame, the Polk County Hall of Fame, and most recently the Spirit of Bartow Award from his hometown. And at the age of 101, the Centurion continues to play golf almost daily at the Bartow Golf Course, where he regularly competes against and wins and matches against much younger opponents, and I'm confident you would beat me, all right? Mr. Herbert Dixon is to be honored at the 3rd Annual Black Heritage Golf Tournament at the Cleveland Heights Golf Course on February 27, 2021, a tournament in which he will also play. So let's give him a round of applause. Would you like to say anything, sir?
Yes, please. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed a great honor and a blessing to be here this afternoon for this special occasion. I am very happy to be here and be able to thank the ones that made this possible. I'm only 101 years old, and that's very big blessing. I played 27 holes yesterday. The day before, 18 holes. And I feel energetic right on. God has blessed me through many, many years, and I'm thankful to be able to come here this afternoon and be honored for this special occasion. Thank you very much.
Right here. Holy cow.
Right after that,
We'll stop for this anytime it happens. Is you hold yours, or you want to put yours on the podium?
I got it.
Okay.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Here's yours. Okay, 1, 2. All right.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We should
Mayor, if I could,
Yes, please do.
I'd like to take this opportunity to put in a plug as well for the third annual Black Heritage Month Golf Tournament at Cleveland Heights, which will be on Saturday morning, February 27th. This is our third year, and it's becoming quickly an iconic event. We brought it to Cleveland Heights this year. So the golfers out there, skill level's not really that important. You can't be like Mr. Dixon, but we do ask if you're interested. The Central Florida Business Diversity Council is sponsoring it. And we've got room for both players and sponsors for Saturday, February 27th, sir.
That's right.
Thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Selvidge. And that's just pretty exciting, isn't it? That takes away a lot of excuses if you have any excuses about not getting out. All right, that brings us then to the no committee reports and the approval of our consent agenda. If there's some motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Walker. All right, that consent agenda includes 2 minutes from January 11th and the 19th, as well as item 6C2. Any discussion by commissioners? Any discussion by the audience, or comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Unanimously passes. Which brings us to our public hearings, and today we have Ramona Sirianni with us because our city attorney, Mr. Davis, got stuck in that northern snowstorm in Chicago on his way back, hopefully purchasing some Garrett popcorn or something that he could bring back to the office, but we'll see in the process of that. So, Ms. Sirianni?
Good afternoon. This is the portion of the agenda for the equalization hearings where anyone in the audience that received a notice stating that the city has cut or cleared your property and the city is going to bill that property owner for those costs can address any issues or questions they have with the city commission at this time.
I think
we're going to put the list up.
Yeah, we're going to put the list up, and I'm sorry because I skipped over that. So we're ceasing to meet as a commission, and we're now meeting as an equalization board. All right, so this is the list. So is there anybody at all in the room that has any interest in representing any one of the named properties? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Mr. Mayor.
second.
And a second from Commissioner McLeod. Discussion by commissioners? Any discussion by the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Unanimously passes. That ceases our time together as an equalization board. We reconvene as a city commission and now do public hearings. Item 3A1.
Yes, we have one ordinance for second reading. That is proposed ordinance number 21-007, an ordinance relating to public right-of-way, making findings, vacating public right-of-way located north of East Oak Street, south of East Peachtree Street, west of North Iowa Avenue, and east of North Massachusetts Avenue, within the city of Lakeland, Florida, authorizing the recording of a certified copy of this ordinance, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
So move.
Motion from Commissioner Reed.
Second.
The second by Commissioner Walker. Discussion by commissioners? Any discussion by the audience? Seeing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Walker?
Aye.
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 Aye. Unanimously passes. That brings us to the city manager because we have no community redevelopment agency report. Mr. Strauss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, Commissioners. I have two items for a presentation this afternoon. The first item being a recommendation regarding an award of a bid to DIMAR General Contractors and for a contract amendment with Atkins North America for upgrading the ILS system at the Lakeland Linder International Airport. The airport received a grant in 2019 from the Florida Department of Transportation to upgrade the existing Instrument Landing System, or ILS, to a Category 3 ILS to be completed by November 1st, 2021. The design for the Category 3 project has been separated into 3 phases, with the first phase being the new North Airfield Lighting Vault. The airport is ready to proceed with that phase, which is Phase 1, a construction of the new North Airfield Lighting Vault. Construction work for the ALV was advertised under bid number 0344, with 6 companies responding to the bid. The airport's engineering firm, Atkins, along with airport staff, reviewed all 6 bid responses. The apparent low bid was determined to be GVC Builders LLC. However, it was determined following review that the GVC Builders bid was non-responsive to all of the bid requirements. Based on that disqualification, the next lowest and most responsive bidder, with a bid of $1,163,558, was determined to be DMAR General Contractors. Atkins North America will provide construction administration services for Phase 1 of the project for a not-to-exceed amount of $99,740 under an amendment to their existing contract. It is therefore recommended that the City Commission authorize the appropriate city officials to enter into a construction contract with DIMAR General Contractors in the amount presented for construction of the new North Airfield Lighting Vault as detailed in bid number 0344, and also enter into the amendment with Atkins North America in the not-to-exceed amount as presented for the construction administration on the project. Both contracts have been reviewed and approved by FDOT, and there are no appropriations required for this request.
Is a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner McLeod, and that was made by Commissioner McCarley. Discussion by commissioners. Any by the audience? I noticed that in the company listing, the DMAR General Contractors Clearwater is missing the I, but other than that, in that recap, it's aligned. This is a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Unanimously passes. Item B.
Thank you. The second item is regarding a recommendation for a quote for stadium wall padding replacement and an appropriation and increase in estimated revenues in the Joker Marchant Stadium Capital Reserve Fund. Over the past 54 years, the City of Lakeland and the Detroit Tigers have a working agreement which consists of the city maintaining the stadium. During the most recent negotiations with the Tigers, both parties agreed to establish a shared capital expenditure reserve for the stadium. The reserve would be used only for large capital items at the stadium, with both Tigers management and City of Lakeland management agreeing for over the 20-year term of the current lease. The funding for both the city and Tigers' share of this reserve is primarily derived from the naming rights agreements secured by the Detroit Tigers. The stadium wall padding, which is constructed of plywood, foam, and vinyl, has deteriorated and requires replacement. Both parties agree that the cost of replacing the stadium wall padding of $79,179 plus the wall signage of $10,000 should come from the Joker Marchant Stadium Capital Reserve Fund. Initially, 3 quote submittals were received for the removal and replacement of the wall padding, with C&H Baseball being the lowest responsive bidder. However, the city's purchasing division determined that competitive sealed bids were required based upon the dollar amounts, so subsequently, purchasing staff issued a bid for the Marchant Stadium wall padding replacement project. And then on January 22nd, 2021, purchasing received a bid from Sports Graphics. Staff evaluated that single bid received and concluded that it was non-responsive, primarily because the contractor could not start and finish the project in time for spring training. So due to the time constraints, staff has determined that in lieu of rebidding the project, sufficient competition was provided through this process and the receipt of the previous quotes. It is requested that the City Commission authorize the appropriate city officials to award the quote for removal and replacement of the padding at Joker Marchant Stadium to CNH Baseball. It is also requested that the City Commission authorize an appropriation and increase in estimated revenues from the unappropriated surplus in the Joker Marchant Stadium Capital Reserve Fund in the amount of $89,179 to a contractual services account in that fund for this replacement of the stadium wall padding and wall signage at Joker Marchant Stadium.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Was that Commissioner McLeod and seconded by Commissioner Madden? Discussion by commissioners. Commissioner Selvage.
Yes, sir. I'm curious, Bobby, why this has come up so close to the start of spring training. Did we know about this last summer? Or?
This will be Mr. Donahay's answer, our illustrious Parks and Recreation Director.
Bob Donahay, Parks and Recreation Director. We were trying to put it off for one more spring, and we noticed the decreased deterioration. We can't control the weather. Florida's tough with the sun and the rain, and we were concerned about some of the sections on the wall padding, so we decided to go ahead and make this move now instead of wait and try to get another spring out of it. We just didn't feel good about it, so the initial plan was, in conjunction with the Tigers, we agreed to replace the wall padding before spring training that had no signage on it, then after the conclusion of spring training, do the remainder during the minor league season.
So you're confident that when the players arrive, we're going to be able to complete this project?
Yes, and I've been on the phone with Detroit actually just before I walked in the door, and we're waiting to hear now because now they're talking about delaying spring training again. So we're going through all of that. So we might be end up getting it all done before spring training even starts, depending upon when.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
What a year. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Reed.
Don,
I think he still has another question, sir.
how much do we have left in the unappropriated surplus? We're taking $89,000 to of the as 97, so have we got some extra left over?
Mike, you know what the balance is currently?
Mike Brossart, Finance Director. There was $350,000 accumulated into that fund at the end of September. So when we take this $80,000 out, it'll be slightly less than $300,000.
Thank you.
Any other questions by commissioners? Any questions or comments by the audience? Seeing none, this is a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Unanimously passes. That brings us back to our city attorney and item B1.
We have two proposed resolutions for your consideration and approval. Proposed resolution number 21-007, a resolution relating to assessments determining the necessity for having cleaned and cleared certain properties within the city of Lakeland, providing for the assessment of liens against such property for expenses incurred in the cleaning and clearing thereof, and providing an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. Discussion by commissioners. Any discussion by the audience? This is a roll call vote. Commissioner McLeod?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Proposed resolution number 21-008, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lakeland, Florida, relating to the emancipation of slaves in the state of Florida, adopting findings, recognizing and establishing May 20th of each year as Florida Emancipation Day in the City of Lakeland, encouraging the Florida Legislature to establish May 20th of each year as Florida Emancipation Day in the state of Florida, providing an effective date.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner McCarley. Discussion by commissioners. We talked about this during our agenda study, and Commissioner Walker.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make a correction. I think for those that may have read the article in the Ledger, it indicated that this was a move that came about as a result of leadership of FLC. It was not FLC. It was the FBC Leo organization that asked, and FBC Leo organization falls under the administrative guidelines of FLC. So I want to make sure that's cleared up so people won't think, and that's because, again, in my position with FLC as incoming president, it was not FLC. It was the FBC Leo organization, which is the Florida Black Caucus of local elected officials who have been approached by the movement afoot in our state to do what we're doing here as far as resolution is concerned. But FLC is the administrative arm and does all the things for FBC Leo when it comes to all the administrative duties. I'll make sure to clear it up.
Okay. Any other comments on this? Any by the audience? All right, this is a roll call vote. Commissioner Walker?
Yes.
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 Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yes. Unanimously passes as well.
Under miscellaneous reports, we have the legal fee report. No action is needed from the commission on this. I believe Mr. Davis, your city attorney, gave a brief explanation of the legal fee report on Friday at Agenda Study. So that's just provided for your information only.
Any other comments on that from commissioners? Or any questions by the audience? Okay, next.
The second item, agreement with Peninsular Exterminating Inc. for pest control maintenance services, that was approved on consent. The third item is an agreement with Levy Premium Food Services Limited Partnership for concession services at the RP Funding Center. This is for the concession services, a long-awaited agreement for that for the RP Funding Center. Back in February of 2020, the city's purchasing department issued a request for proposals seeking qualified food and beverage concessionaires for the RP Funding Center. Due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the event industry as well as on the RP Funding Center's business itself, a decision was made to postpone the selection of a vendor, and in turn, Spectra was that agreement with Spectra was continued for a period of time. That agreement has now expired. So what you have before you, we had two proposals. Levy from Chicago, Illinois, and then the second vendor was Second Plate Catering from Plant City. Levy was selected as the preferred vendor, and based on its experience and its significant presence in the concession services market, sports, cultural, and entertainment facilities, and based on the negotiations with Levy, we have a contract that will be a 5-year contract that will commence on February 1st, 2021, subject to your approval today. There is an additional one 5-year renewal option upon mutual written agreement of the parties. That also would be subject to City Commission approval. An important note to this contract is that the city still reserves the right to terminate the agreement in any default of Levy, as well if the commission votes to terminate funding for the RP Funding Center or decides to close or sell the RP Funding Center. As well as that, the part of the agreement, it requires Levy to invest $150,000 capital investment during the first, up to $150,000 capital investment for the first 5 years. That will be put towards pre-opening costs, development, design, construction, equipping and finishing of food service facilities at the center. And pursuant to that investment, they would have to submit a written plan which would be approved by the executive director within 30 days of approval of this agreement. So the city reserves the right to approve all those expenditures. And in consideration of the city's grant of the exclusive food and beverage rights and privileges to Levy, they will be paying the city a percentage of gross receipts commissions, which are listed out in your agenda memo. You'll see the source, the gross receipts, and the commission rate broken out. There is also a provision in that agreement that contains an interim financial structure to make sure that Levy is successful during that first portion of because of the pandemic. I know Tony Camarolo is here as well. He can go into a little bit more detail about the business and the financial structure, but just to finish up some of the other highlights of the agreement, the city is responsible for all the costs incurred in procuring replacement equipment, fixtures, except to the extent that Levy does any damage to that equipment or fails to maintain it, they would be solely responsible for that. The city will also be responsible for any payment of utilities with the exception of phone service, which Levy will be required to pay for. And lastly, Levy will be required to indemnify the city for any negligence, liability, business interruption, or destruction of property to the extent that they cause the damage. And that is what we have, and it's recommended for your approval.
Is there a motion to approve? By
Second.
Commissioner Reed and a second by Commissioner Walker, was that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Camarella, any additional comments?
Just thank you very much, and thanks again to Ramon for working so hard to get this contract done. I can tell you that it's been a tough road for us at the RP Funding Center, and this is one step in our direction of us getting back to normal. And this is a company that's very highly regarded in the business, and they just happen to be from Chicago. And I'm really excited to be bringing them on board. And we're going to hit the ground running. We got a big event on Friday night, so we're excited and they're excited to get rolling. And I will say the success of them is the success of us.
Yes.
So as we move forward together, it's going to be a win-win for everybody. So I thank the commission for your support.
Tony, why did Spectra leave?
Their contract expired, and part of the story about when the pandemic hit and our industry in particular was hit pretty hard, they really had a hard time gaining traction again. We tried to do an extension with them. They were also invited to get into the bid when we opened it back up, and that company in particular just didn't have the wherewithal to move forward with that. Whether it was a business decision by them, by their corporate office, and I think they're just having a hard time getting rolling again.
So since June 20th, 2020, when it expired, have they been operating over there on an extension?
They have not. We tried to do an extension with them to get them to do that, and we just couldn't come up with a financial agreement that worked for.
So who's been providing food?
We've had Terry Lobb has helped us, a local purveyor out of Winter Haven. This has been very helpful. We had a.
So they stepped in
her
the
help.
breach. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Reed.
Thank you. On Friday, I asked a brief little question, and again, maybe I left out part. I know we have a hold harmless liability component. Do you know what their liability policy amount's going to be?
I believe the insurance provisions are attached to that agreement.
I'm looking.
Policy, I believe. It's pretty substantial.
Yeah, we worked pretty hard on that, along with Joyce.
The commercial general liability insurance with limits not less than $5 million, liquor liability limits not less than $1 million each common cause and $5 million in the aggregate, automobile liability insurance of $1 million. So they have significant coverage under their insurance policies.
So that's to your satisfaction then, I presume?
And it was approved by our risk management department as well.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Commissioner Walker.
I just want to piggyback on what I know what we talked about on Friday, Mr. Camarillo, and I'm believing because of what you shared with us thus far, especially with the recommendations coming from staff as well. Also knowing this particular operation has been doing now business with two of our larger, venues in our area. But when we had that hiccup some years ago, and we had to leave Aramark and went to Spectra, I think our citizens are just at a point where we enjoyed and saw the difference and what Spectra brought to our center. So again, I want to believe that Levy will do the same and have that kind of a.
We're looking to raise the bar, Commissioner.
Yes, raise the bar. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner McLeod.
Just to follow up on that, Tony, how do we measure satisfaction on their performance? And we hope
I don't get calls from customers telling me the food's cold and things like that.
Sure.
I mean, we do surveys.
Okay.
So we have
We'll
a
let you know.
constant,
Yeah.
our constant hand on the beat of our customers. So I think it's important. I mean, we're there with them, so we're experiencing it. So we just make sure that level is where we need it to be. And we talk to our customers, and we make sure we get good feedback from them. And we've been very lucky. Since the day I walked in the door, we've been very lucky. So I can tell you that I've had circumstances over my long career that haven't been as good, and it's not a fun thing to deal with. So we're very lucky. We have a great idea. You might not be surprised that a few of that staff is holdover because they've got great experience, but we'll see how that pans out. But so far, what I'm really encouraged by is their willingness to help us in this time as we lead up to the contract. We've had a preliminary contract in place for a little bit over a month now, and they've been in the building, doing a great job, and sort of gearing up for this. So again, I'm really excited for this day and to be here and move forward.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, this is a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Unanimously passes. Thank you very much, Ms. Camarell. We're looking forward to them joining us. That brings us, there is no report from the finance director. That brings us to the utility section, and we will talk about the same thing we talked about in our utility committee meeting, item C1.
Yes, this is task authorization with Black & Veatch Corporation for Unit 3 decommissioning planning services. This particular task authorization received a favorable recommendation, a unanimous support in the utility committee meeting. This is for decommissioning planning services that are 2 phases. The first phase being the planning for the permanent shutdown, the second planning for the demolition of the facilities. Black & Veatch services will include support relating to permitting requirements, regulated materials management, preparation for permanent shutdown, demolition planning, site remediation, and restoration. The city's purchasing department issued a request for qualification in November of 2020 for services. We had a number of responses received. Black & Veatch was determined to be the most responsible respondent capable of providing those services, and they will be performing all services in accordance with a continuing contract that is already in place that was approved October 1st, 2017. The total cost of services associated for both planning phases is $150,000, and that is included in Lakeland Electric's FY21 budget.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So Commissioner McLeod and McCarley, we got the MCs going, and discussion by commissioners. Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I know that, talking about the Unit 3 shutdown, that there has been a significant amount of discussion and criticism toward Joel Ivey and the leadership team. But from my vantage point, I think Joel and his team have led this well through this. This was never going to be an easy decision or an easy conversation because of the jobs that were affected, and I was encouraged today to hear some of the steps that HR has taken, that they are taking to try and relocate and provide assistance to employees. I know in some of my initial conversations at the end of the year with Joel, you could tell that he did not take the decision lightly. And so I just wanted to share that because there were one-on-one conversations that maybe other people didn't see. And when I started asking questions about, saying I think it makes sense to consider shutting this down before 2024, you could just tell that Joel and his staff felt the weight of that decision. And so I think they have led well given the circumstances. I see this agreement as an important step in that process.
Excellent comment, and I would agree 100%. Anything else from anyone else on that? I will tag on then. Plus, I think it's important for us to note that as we're making these changes, we're making them in a very volatile world in the whole area of energy. And so we're doing this with foresight. This is the kind of thing that protects us to make sure that it's decommissioned in a very appropriate, regulated way. And then we really have to think about the fact that what an interesting comment that was made during the utility committee meeting today was that General Manager Ivey said that he hasn't been very many places where 100% of your electricity is produced by yourself, that this is normally a shared medium in terms of the way that utilities approach it, because you don't necessarily want all the capital investment in those kinds of things. And so this really moves us more accurately into that world as well. Anything else by any other members? Okay, and anyone from the audience? This is a voice vote as well. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Unanimously passes. That takes us to the audience portion of the meeting. Are there any audience members here that would like to make any comments? All right, seeing none. Comments from commissioners. Commissioner Selvich, do you have something?
I do. I want to bring up my favorite subject, and that's masks. I find the mayor's weekly notes to us about trends in COVID pandemic very interesting. And the latest one shows that Polk County remains an outlier in the Tampa Bay area, that we are not doing nearly as well as the Tampa. And so, I ask everybody to consider mask as a necessary reducer of the risk. Nothing's certain, but I see the masks as liberating. I'm willing to wear a mask to go to groups like this, go into a business, travel, because I know that my fellow citizens will have masks on. And I'm not going to take the risk of going into a business where that's not enforced. So I ask people to just step back and think of masks as much as a pain in the neck they are, that it's really a way for us to avoid business shutdowns and lockdowns, which I think are the wrong way to go. And I also want to talk about vaccinations, very interesting. My wife and I are, along with 55,000 of our closest friends, now on a waiting list that I hope will get a call. But I noticed that although the system is working slowly and coming around, that our minority communities are not taking advantage in the same levels as the majority, and that's the African American community and the Hispanic community. And I think we have to get the word out that these vaccinations are critical, that we have to convince as many people as possible to take the vaccination. And sir, that's my lecture for this commission meetings. Again, I applaud the commission for at least getting out and saying, hey, let's wear the mask and work together to get through this terrible crisis. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Walker.
Mr. Mayor, and to my fellow colleague, Don, there's things happening, and I'm trying to make sure I can say, because we've been asked not to publicize. There have been at least two situations or venues that have been open primarily in the core African American community and have had a very good turnout for the vaccinations. It was not publicized purposely because the vials and didn't want to just have hundreds of folk coming and didn't have to turn them away, because then it become a negative kind of something goes out in airways being negative. But there have been two so far, and very successful, and been done in, I guess, methodically kind of a way to make sure when they know they got the vials, how many of the hundreds there are, they're keying into certain situations to make sure that ethnicity or that culture pretty much knows what's going on. So that has happened, because I don't want the word to say that there's nothing that's happening, because things are happening. But it's not being advertised, publicized, released. And that's because, again, I think we have to understand, as we all know, the actual numbers that we will hope to have for our community as a whole, we've not gotten. So then when they have what they do have is, and using what they can to be supportive to, we call that more disenfranchised communities, that they are in there. Now, it could be better, maybe so, but you gotta still know, you gotta work with what you get and make sure it's available, as best you can. So that is happening. All right, thank you for that. Mr. Mayor, also, just so the public would know, it just as we had to do, as I understand, we're talking with Parks and Recreation, who kind of spearheads our activities when it comes to Black History Month activities. Just as we did with the Christmas parade, the MLK parade, those kind of things. That festival will not be this year, as it normally has been, and I've reached out to Parks and Rec and those that put that particular event together, and there is one being planned, and I think it's being finalized, because I was hoping to get it finalized in order to have it to be announced here, being the first day of the month of February, being Black History Month. So there is something planned, and we just ask the community and citizens of our city just to keep your ears to the wherever airways and eyes to whatever we see come across our face. So when it is actually announced, we know what's going on. And I think it's supposed to start sometime like second, third week of the month, and the plans will go to the end of the month, but I'm not at liberty to say what they are at this point, because they have not been finalized, but there will be some activity.
All right, Commissioner McCarley.
To talk about the vaccine for a minute, so I think someone thought I was joking yesterday when I said I called the line for Polk County Health Department 750 times, and that was between my mother and I both. We literally, your phone only goes to 200 calls. So I was able to track how many times I called over a 5-day period. We got an appointment on January 12th. We were put on the list on January 12th. She was called on January 26th and got the vaccine, her first vaccine last Thursday. So it was about a 2-week time frame, just as an FYI, that seemed very lengthy, but it worked really well. I have to commend the YMCA and LRH. They're working together on the north side. It was seamless. She has a date to go back to get her second dose. It's automatically scheduled when you go in. So just hold tight that they're chipping through. And we did it over the phone, and so she wasn't able to do an online registration because it booted her out of the system because you already had a reservation from the phone call. So that is another piece too. So if you registered online, I think it'll start getting, the more vaccines we get, the quicker it'll be. But I just have to commend the Y and LRH. They did a great job on that. On another note, this week, the Bonnet Springs Park had a visit, which is a private park, and it is partnering with the city of Lakeland to work on a grant to clean up Lake Bonnet. And so the DEO, I'm looking at the mayor because he was there as well, Department of Economic Opportunity from Tallahassee came to visit. But I wanted to commend Lori Smith and her team from our Lakes Department. They did a wonderful job and have worked so well with Bonnet Springs these last few months applying for this federal grant. And they just did a really, really great job. The water that we have that flows through that park, and I sit on the board for the Bonnet Springs Park, but what flows through there, if it's not cleaned and maintained, ends up in Tampa Bay. So this is a really big project. It's very exciting. The DEO staff, I think, appreciated the visit, very well. They went from several hundred applications to 24 Zoom calls for this application process, and then Bonnet Springs is probably one of 12 to 14 site visits of different agencies around the state that got a site visit from DEO. So fingers crossed. We get some great environmental support from the federal government, we hope, with this, and the state. And we'll see what happens, and it's a good partnership between the city and the private park. So I just wanted to commend Lake staff on that. Lori has worked tirelessly on this project and been very, very willing to help that private park. And the last thing I wanted to add is, sitting as the city's representative on the Lakeland Vision Board, along with Jason Willey, tomorrow I have an opportunity with Mr. Strauss to talk to all the directors about Lakeland Vision and what the community has reflected back to them in their refresh from 2019. I feel like 2020 was a wash, so obviously we didn't refresh in 2020, but I'm really excited to talk to our directors tomorrow about that and share what Lakeland Vision has come up with and what our community has come up with, and see how we can align again together between the city and the community at large. You heard Mr. Torres talk about some of those community partnerships that IT has through broadband and through Surf Lakeland. The city continues to work with these agencies, and it's vitally important because we can't do everything as government. We need community organizations to come alongside. So I'm excited to share Lakeland Vision's vision with the staff tomorrow and the directors, and hopefully we can see where those things can align together, even with our community values survey, as we move forward in serving the citizens of Lakeland. Thanks.
Excellent. Can you comment on May Manor too, just a little bit on flood mitigation?
Maybe you could probably comment on that a little bit better.
So just to add to the comments on that DEO request for the grant for cleaning up the lake, it also extends as the ability for the first time not only do we get depth out of the lake if this is approved so that the lake can actually have some flood control capacity, but then May Manor would have some downstream mitigation for flood control as well as we go along. So if we can get all aspects of this approved, it will be a wonderful benefit to the community, as well as enhance the park.
Yes.
And then it provides an educational opportunity back in the park for what was done with these funds. So I think it's very positive.
Well, and to piggyback that too, is I think they were impressed with the coalition of forces that have come together in support of this initiative, this private initiative at Bonnet Springs, because I don't know that that's very typical for their site visits to see that there are city people involved and representation from the city and city departments, as well as philanthropists who are involved, as well as the people building the park. So I think that was a huge check mark for the box. And as Lori told us when we started applying for this grant with the environmental firm AECOM, that we checked all the boxes. It's not typical to have everyone working together. So, but the water is the biggest piece of this grant. It is not about the park, it's about the water.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Now, if I may ask a question, because I know in a couple of the initial meetings that, at least when, that I attended there on the park site, I know they were asking not only support from our city, but also trying to get some support from state. I know there was some talk about that.
That is this. So it's federally funded, state-directed, locally implemented.
That's a tie-in, right?
Yeah, it kind of follows sort of the FEMA mantra of federally funded, state-managed, locally implemented.
Want to make sure.
Our request is the biggest request that they have in this.
Yeah.
And so there was some concern that maybe they weren't going to be able to allocate the full portion of it, but our response was that it is all one thing.
Yes.
And for us to be able to do it the right way, it takes every portion of the modules. So
yes.
We're hoping they'll give that some great consideration.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I just got a text to make sure I can say the right thing about what's going on for Black History Month and the activity. It will be a scavenger hunt kind of an event scheduled from February 15th through the end of the month, as it looks like here from my text here, where they're going to highlight various pioneers of each city department that may have had some significant impact here in our city. So more information is coming forth, and you should have more information soon. But I like the educational piece, trying to get people to get around to different departments and find out who are the pioneers, who help support and help bring about things here in our city government when it comes to, I guess, a particular ethnicity.
All
right.
Any other comments from commissioners? Commissioner McLeod.
Well, Commissioner McCarley mentioned Lori Smith, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Public Works. I'm still making my way around the different departments. I had hoped to do all of that last year, but I'm sort of still in orientation as I head into year 2 here. But it was, and I know many of you have done this multiple times, but it was great to get out and see everything under their umbrella. And Lori, they took me out on the Harvester on Lake Parkville. And so I could have spent several hours on that, but just to see everything that goes into managing stormwater and lakes and the effort and the knowledge that we have internally, and I continue to be amazed by that expertise in-house. And so,
and how expensive it is.
What's that?
And how expensive it is.
Right.
You know,
right.
We're always short.
Yeah.
What we could
and that
do.
struggle of trying to have the right tools and the things we need and budget and pay for it. So it was great. It was time well spent, and I look forward to doing that again.
Great. I think you're the only one of us that's been on the Harvester.
I didn't know if any. I thought maybe I was the last one to do that.
So now there's pure jealousy right here.
You get to go on the brand new Harvester.
Any other comments by commissioners? Commissioner Madden.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, there's so many events that are certainly, facing the same situation, but, I do bleed a little green when it comes to Visti in Lakeland. And, instead of having their traditional Visti ball with the golfing and the prizes and the auction, they're going to be having a virtual event this Saturday. So if you have wondered, like I have, on several events, is this event going to happen this year? Where's Pig Fest? It's normally that's kind of how it is for folks. If you've been to Visti Ball in the past and you don't have plans this Saturday night, You can participate from your PJs in your house and, play games. We have some celebrities, local celebrities, who will be playing fun games. And of course, you know that VISTI is a tremendous cause, volunteers serving our elderly here in Lakeland, the surrounding area. So I do encourage you, certainly they have a Facebook and an Instagram, VISTI does, also on their website at VISTI. I think it's visti.org.
It is.
Visti.org. You can buy a ticket. The tickets are available to join in, log in and join us live. I'll be saying hello as a little bit of a host at the beginning and with my husband Steve, and we're just hoping that if you're bored, you have something to do now to put on your calendar for Saturday night.
You can have a fun way to support a great organization. That's great. Any other comments? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
In a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. We are adjourned. I didn't used to adjourn. I didn't used to adjourn. I realized I really should adjourn. All good? All good?
Later, right before the holiday, they've got to.